Welcome everybody. Beautiful Thursday morning here in North Carolina, and hopefully a beautiful day for wherever you are at and joining us from. Just quick sort of introductions here. My name is Brian Chorley. I'm a research scientist at EPA, co-chair, sort of representing the public sector for HESI eSTAR. Deidre Dalmas Wilk from GSK, representing the private sector, and we will be giving a little overview this morning of eSTAR and some information about budget, and also the agenda for the next 2 days. As Connie and Sadef are introduced themselves, they're scientific program managers for HESI, and has been a great help to the committee and to the work that we've been doing. And also welcome to Sarah Pettit, who is the executive director of HESI. So welcome everybody. All right, next slide for our meeting agenda overview. So I'll go over just a brief history of the committee, the mission and the structure. Deidre will go over the budgetary information, and also we'll go over a brief overview of the objectives of this meeting. For the rest of the day, and we can go to the next slide, we will have a keynote speaker from Mark Wyant at 10:40 after our budgetary discussion on metabolomics and chemical grouping using this information. Then mid-morning, we will go over the portfolio and report outs from our committees, including microRNA biomarkers, TGX DDI, and the transcriptomic point of departure subcommittees. We'll have a short break, and then get a report out from the carcinogenomics group. And then finally, a keynote number 2 from Ali Ibrahimi from GSK on spatial transcriptomics. We'll finish the day with a brief wrap up, and then expectations for day 2. And speaking of which, next slide. Tomorrow, we will have some discussion around our 2 new groups, which are cell painting and error-corrected sequencing. We will hear from David and Patricia about the work in those subcommittees. And then we will have breakout discussions on these, as well as a break during that time. In the afternoon, we will reconvene all together, have reports from the working groups, and then wrap up with reflection on our projects and future directions, and adjourn by 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a little history about our committee. This was really an effort launched back in 1999 as a subcommittee for applications of genomics and proteomics for mechanistic based risk assessment. We had, and this is really spurred on by the technological advances of the time, especially with microarrays, and in fact, HESI, our genomics committee had a big part of the creation of MAC-C, which was the microarray quality control, and supported a lot of different efforts, including really the development of the first toxicology database, ToxArray Express, and had active involvement from multiple sectors from across the world, North America, Europe, and Asia. Since then, we have evolved, and next slide, really capturing both where the technology is and also where our focus needs to be. And back in 2019, and really spearheaded by the efforts of Carol Yock and others, we changed our name to the Emerging Systems Toxicology for the Assessment of Risk, or eSTAR. And really, this is the recognition of utilizing systems-based information to get to where we need to be in terms of application of our techniques, our methods, for the purposes of risk assessment. This really is catalyzed, again, by the adoption of new tools, both for translational and prediction, that will guide decision-making across sectors. And also the utilization of things such as biofluid and tissue-based biomarkers for the use in toxicology and in regulatory decision-making. As I mentioned, there's a large involvement across sectors. In here, you can see the list of those in academics, in government, and nonprofit, in terms of our public sector participants. And really, their involvement is critical for our work, and including, which is the next page, our private sector participants, which their involvement is also critical, and also their contributions also financially to eSTAR. Currently, we have 6 currently running subcommittees as part of eSTAR, and 1 that is sunset. The 6 current committees include the molecular point of departure, TGX DDI, carcinogenomics, microRNA biomarkers, and the 2 new additions, cell painting and error-correcting sequencing. 1 that's sunset, which is based around development methods for fixed paraffin-embedded blocks, and the utilization of these archive samples for genomic studies. This group is still publishing, and hopefully we'll have sort of a wrap-up webinar based on the information that was generated and publication generated from this very important subcommittee. Again, we will have information from all these subcommittees today and also tomorrow. Last year has been really productive for eSTAR, and these are just some of the highlights in which we've been involved in and have accomplished. 1 US FDA grant for the TGX DDI project. This is a real big hurdle that was cleared by this work group, and this grant will be beneficial in terms of wrapping up that work and getting closer to that road of biomarker qualification. We've gained members in both the public and private sectors, and the work groups in which these members have participated have been highly active. We've logged over 50 meetings in the past year across the board. The publications that we generated are impactful and have been viewed by many people, over 1,000 just in the last year. And again, we have 2 new work groups, generate a lot of interest, a lot of new members, and definitely have full steam ahead in terms of momentum, and we'll discuss more about those efforts tomorrow. Publications have been great as well. I won't go into too much detail. The work groups will talk about it here, but here we have the FFP working group looking at variant calling and mutation detection in archived clinical samples, again, with some of the great amount of publications coming out of that work. The carcinogenomics work, again, an overview of their sort of roadmap and moving forward toward the road of replacing rodent carcinogenicity studies with using genomic biomarker tools and other methods. TGX DDI working group published on utilizing this biomarker and comparing it to the COMET chip and TKS cells. And then finally, the POD working group, again, publishing their vision of using omics-based information for a regulatory chemical testing paradigms. And I'll hand it over to Deidre to talk about some of the outreach work that the eSTAR has done in the past year.
Okay, so I'm just getting ready here. Oh, my screen is a little odd here, but that's okay. I can't make it big. So yes, thank you everyone. So some of the work that we have done over the past year is that we've had a various different seminar series throughout 2022. And this included some various different seminars by Dr. Tongweda, and then also from the Oregon State University, where these seminars were very well attended. Can you guys hold on 1 second? I'm really sorry. My screen is super small and I can't see it. Hold on. It was fine, and as soon as it got over to me, it changed. Okay, sorry about that. It's still very small, but anyway, I'll try to go to flow. Based off our webinars, so we've had some artificial intelligence approaches to alternatives in medicines and with the animals by Dr. Tongweda. This was very, very well attended. And then with the Oregon State University really focusing on microRNA and mRNA, and these were really, I would say, revolutionary in our seminar series, and really moving forward and looking to continue these in the future. I do have to stop because, sorry, I need to fix my screen because I'm not going to be able to.
That's okay, Deidre. You can
take a second. Now. All right, sorry.
All good?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. I know. All right, sorry. I felt flustered because it was like super small. All right, so we had some various other different outreaches. So we've had some various different seminars at the Ottawa ICEM conference in 2022, as well as the SOT annual meeting that was also well attended. We do have also some additional seminars and symposiums, workshops that are coming up for the SOT 62nd annual meeting. That's going to be in Nashville next year. So it's great. There's a various different activities there, one including cell painting. So now we'll just go over some of the various different analytics. So if you look on the screen, this is really our web pages and the activity across those pages. And what you can see is the top shows the various different views that we have per week on our website. And you can see that and the bottom view actually shows the number of unique hits in the various different countries and the activity across the various different, across our site. So what you can see is, as we're moving forward through the year, there's, a lot of activity around when we have meetings around the SOT meetings and around our various different seminar series. So what you can see is that, we do have quite a number of visits to this site. So for those online, please, make sure you join. We do keep a lot of information on there, and it's a great tool to be able to access, including, how we can, if you want to find information about the various different work groups as well. So please make sure you view those. So today I'm going to just go over some of the different, you'll hear about the various different work groups that we talked about, and then we're just going to talk about some of the budgetary requirements that we have for HESI and how we've been progressing over the year and throughout next year. So in 2022, we've had 18 sponsors, and these sponsors, the cost to join the eSTAR committee is $8,000 per company. In 2022, we also received a grant from the FDA, and that was towards the TGX DDI project, and that will be applied to that in the as we move forward in the next few years. We've also our general expenses for 2022. So we've had that really entails committee management and coordination. So what goes along with running the program for eSTAR. We've also spent this, our budget on the experimental work for both the carcinogenomics work group and the microRNA working groups. And there's been a number of various different studies that we've performed and analysis that have been done. And you'll hear about that more throughout the rest of the day from each of the various different work groups heads. We've also utilized this to have open manuscripts. So when we publish, we ensure that this is access to the entire community. So there are fees that are associated with that. So our funds also do ensure that we make everything that we do freely accessible to anyone who wants to have that. So in 2023, where we're going is that, our committee is growing. There's more people that are joining, and, we'll generally, be able to have a very impactful portfolio that we continue to maintain because of the great commitment from all the different groups that are involved that Brian had, indicated earlier. We're, assessing our initial budget, and this assessment that was done earlier this year was sent out to the stakeholders in October. So those who, are the key individuals who are responsible for each of the companies have received that. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to your, your lead for your company. In 2022, our fee was $8,000. So, and just kind of to point out where our fees for joining the committee are in 2021, due to COVID, due to less travel, the committee decided to decrease the fees from 2021, or sorry, from 20 to 2021. These fees had been decreased from 10,000 to 8,000 US dollars. And so for 2023, it's been indicated, and we've decided that we will keep those fees the same. However, as we do move forward through the next couple of years, we will be increasing that fee. So in 2024, the plan is to increase it 5% and then subsequently up to 10% to get really generally back to, where we had been, being that, there is more travel that's going to happen, post-COVID, and, the cost increasing costs of various different experiments and studies as well. So just kind of keep that in mind for your various different companies. So this is our year-end projections that were for 2022, as well as where we're going in 2023. Just a quick overview. So our committee assessments were 144,000 for both 2022 and 2023, where we are. And as mentioned previously, we did receive a grant for about for 250,000. And this really is going to be focused and applied to the TGX DDI biomarker effort. So that was a great ability to be able to utilize that and get that. So we're all very happy, we'll be able to move that going forward. So looking across our total revenue, obviously with the grant for 2023 is 394,000. So that's a great weird place to begin, and especially having that grant. So throughout 2022, our expenses, we had, the staffing and overhead. I won't, go over every single number there, but, and then we've also had consulting, research funding, and grants, which is listed there. We did spend a good amount on publications, so around 10,500. We're expecting that to increase a little bit in 2023 as well. So, and for the consultants and the staffing, that really remains almost flat, as you can see, based off of what we're looking at. So a lot of this really, in 2022 was really to support the microRNA and in vitro studies, and then some of the knockout studies where we had used that. So looking forward, with the meetings, I would say, as you can see, there's a large increase in the cost for that, and it's really for the meetings and workshops and travel for HESI staff to be able to attend those meetings. And also, in 2023, we're looking to have various face-to-face meetings similar to what we had in the past. So that'll be increasing. So that's why you see that. So overall, our total expenses that we are going to have for what we had for 2022 versus 2023, it's about, I would say, about doubled. And really that's, based off of the various different things that we had talked about, including the grant the grant that was awarded that in 2022. So looking as to, where we are with our excess in revenue and our overall expenses, with the continuing fees that we have, what you can see is there's a bit of deficit, but I would say based off of, where we are, we do think that we're fine with where we'll be going with that in the future. Moving forward, we do have some additional funding that hopefully will become available as the projects are moving forward. And, we are also submitting for some additional grants. So we're hoping to boost that up with those grants and additional folks that may be joining the eSTAR committees. So overall, you can see at the bottom where our net funding is, and then again, we're hoping to be able to increase that in the future with some additional opportunities that we're looking into.
Thanks, Deidre. And real quick, don't mean to interrupt your flow.
Yep.
Two quick
Okay.
points. One thing that isn't captured here that I would like to just point out is all the in-kind work our committee members do. So both on the experimental side and their time. So we don't have a way to really capture that, but I just want to thank the committee for that. A lot of times people do experimental work at cost or even for free, or they're able to, give their time to write manuscripts or do some kind of analyses. So just want to say thank you for that. The other piece, to your point about where we are budgetarily, there could be the potential increase. That's something I tried to put in the chat. We would have discussions with the team. We wouldn't spring it on anyone. It also could be offset, if we have additional members or if we find other grants. But it's really to put, get the work done. And the amount you see here, it's not a ton of money, but we're able to have this really nice, diverse portfolio on a pretty focused budget. So I just wanted to bring those points up, Deidre. Thank you for going through, but just wanted to highlight a few points.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I would like to second, what Connie said. It is really great. There's a ton of in-kind contributions, and without that, we really couldn't, function as, a group. So it's greatly appreciated. Okay, so where we are going over the next 2 days. So really, we're gonna, we've given, highlights of the various different committee portfolio, where we are with the budget, where the various different groups. So as we're going over and moving forward through today, you'll hear from the various different working group chairs and how, each of those working groups are contributing and the work that has been done, where they're going. We'll be offering also between today and tomorrow various different new opportunities for potential involvement. So if you, as we're going through those, keep that in mind, as that there are opportunities, as always, to be able to join the various different working groups here that you like. And, even if it's not yourself, even, somebody within your company, and if you do belong to eSTAR, or even if you're not, not within HESI, if there's something, please feel free to, make sure to reach out to Connie. Her contact information is in subsequent slides. We'll be having some breakout sessions tomorrow with opportunities really to discuss the new projects that are going to be upcoming and the various different, I would say, focused areas for those. And then the various different opportunities that are available to everyone that is joining. And then we'll also review our future opportunities, where we see, the committees going forward based off of these various different working groups, and really going over the various different group reports, and that'll be tomorrow. And then we'll also have some new, I would say, topics that we'll be discussing here with really 2 keynotes, one on spatialomics, one on metabolomics, and they're great talks for potential future directions of our eSTAR group and how we can potentially incorporate some of this new technology into our programs moving forward.